Welcome back to Genesis Custom Sabers. This is just going to be a tutorial video of a new pair of lightsabers that I've constructed. Some of my clients have asked about the hard case that I offer as an extra. This is a chance to take a look at it because it suits this pair of sabers perfectly. I haven't before done a dueling pair of lightsabers that are perfectly matched, but this pair is exactly the same in terms of construction. With a couple of minor differences, obviously a red and blue, corresponding to the colors of the LED inside of them. These are Crystal Focus 5 lightsabers. They've got flash on clash through a LED engine, 4-die 10-watt LED, the blue one and the red one. Visible crystal chamber, powder coating, color-coded, yeah, really sleek design. Very complex. There's a lot of stuff packed in there and wired very precisely. But I'll get right to it. As with all Crystal Focus sabers, you've got a kill key and a recharge port. You pull out the kill key, that gets power to the electronics, also exposes the recharge port. You would do that if you want to plug your recharger into there. 7.4 volt lithium ion battery. And as you can see, there's a bar graph in here. The red sabers, I got a red bar graph, 7 LEDs, and right now it's showing the battery level meter, which is full, and it goes into deep sleep mode. On some of the fonts, if you want to get it out of deep sleep mode, which is just a flashing LED, you shake it. It activates the bar graph again. To power on the saber, we want to put a blade in there, tighten it down with the blade retention screw, which is right here. That's the power button. We get a very bright blue blade and a blue flash on a clash or a blaster block. The two blue LEDs that constitute the flash are also activated on the lockup, you can tell. So that's a bit of a complex wiring job to get that done, but it's becoming a real standard on high-end sabers to have that flash on flash feature. Trying to see if you can see it. So even though it's a blue on blue, it's still quite impressive. So that's how the saber operates. Take the blade out. Now with most of my high-end elite class sabers, I've got a way for it to open up, and this one's no exception. Of course, with the windows you can see the bar graph there, and there's a crystal in there. Now I don't know if you can see it, but when I hit the power, it lights up the quartz crystal in there. The red saber has a synthetic red crystal corresponding to the stories that say that the Sith red crystal is a synthetically constructed crystal that is a rite of passage for a Sith warrior, whereas the Jedi crystals tend to be a natural crystal, which is in keeping with these sabers. With the kill key out, you don't want to have the kill key in to remove the bottom half of the saber because it'll pinch. So with the kill key out, this bottom black piece unscrews. So what I want to do is I want to grip this chamber here. I want to begin to unscrew this bottom part of the saber. Of course, anything from here up is supposed to be left alone. There's a tiny set screw that holds these two pieces locked together. These pieces are not locked together, but they're threaded very tight, so you never need to unscrew that. You can mess up the wiring. So that's a warranty thing. Any evidence that these things have been unscrewed, and that's going to be one of the things that voids the warranty. Whenever you're taking apart a saber, you want to be careful and do it slowly. If you feel any wires pinching, you don't want to force it, or it's aluminum threads, so you want to be careful with those too. These are lightly lubricated. So there you have it. There's a Crystal Focus version 5, and you can see the power extender for the flash on clash circuit. Now with this one, it's got really easy access to the SD card. Of course, if you ever want to make any changes, you always want to find that recharge port again. Kill key, that shuts off any power to the saber. You can tell there's nothing happening on the bar graph. And this one's really easy. Even with just your fingers pressure, you can pop the SD card out of there. Needle nose pliers, you can remove that, put it in your computer with an adapter. If you were to buy a second card and make some changes to it, change the parameters, the sound fonts, whatnot. So that's how these sabers operate. I'm very pleased with how they come together. Again, to put it back together, if you ever boot up the saber like that and you hear a series of beeps, that means something's wrong. The SD card is not plugged in, or there's a corrupted file or something. It explains that all very well in the Plector Labs manual. One thing I do want to point out with these sabers too is these are machined to just match perfectly. So when this piece of the saber lines up, then you can see the recharge port's perfectly in line with that hole. If I unscrew it even just a little bit, you can tell that that needs to line up perfectly. Now if I was to take the identical piece off the red saber, threaded on here, these would not match up. They're done for the saber. So the blue one needs to stay with the blue one, the red one needs to stay with the red one. Now in the event, now these shouldn't change more than just a millimeter, but in the event that the hole for the recharge port is not lining up correctly, there is a set screw. The blue saber's got a little blue line there to indicate where things line up. If you were to loosen that set screw a little bit, it is possible to just gently turn this PVC chassis. It's locked in there now. That would be a last resort. You don't want to mess around with that. Even just a millimeter sometimes can throw it off. So I would recommend not changing that unless you absolutely have to. But sometimes as metal wears down, things don't always line up the same. So I've given you that as an option to adjust and fine-tune the saber if it ever becomes necessary. So there you go. There's the new dueling pair of sabers.